The coronavirus pandemic has forced a lot of events, big and small, to be canceled this year, and that includes a lot of Pride events scheduled for this month. But people have still found ways to celebrate and join efforts for change in the wake of the death of George Floyd. And joining us now to talk about that is musical performer and the host of Gay Travel Today, Teraj. Teraj, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Teraj, you are based in New York City, but you're actually planning on traveling to Florida during Pride Month to perform. Tell us about that.
Oh, so originally I was booked for Miami Beach Pride, and I was also putting together a Pride tour to go to various cities across the United States, including St. Petersburg. We're also looking into Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and a couple of other places, New York, where I live right now.
So what was
and I actually had to
Go ahead.
And I actually had the opportunity to perform for the South Florida Pride Collective, which all the major prides in South Florida came together to put on basically a pride to raise funds for COVID relief efforts for our community.
So when the pandemic hit and everybody started canceling events, man, what was that like for you getting all of this canceled?
It was actually horrible for me. Pretty much I was in the midst of putting together this tour and arranging rehearsals. And then once the pandemic hit really hard, I pretty much found myself completely without work. So I had to really get creative in terms of how do I actually move forward, because everything was gone.
So you're the host of this show called Gay Travel Today. How can people watch that? And with travel being affected for everybody, how has that affected your show?
Oh, so you could tune in to Gay Travel Today via Amazon's Alexa. If you have a smart speaker, it's super easy. You can either download the Alexa app, type in Gay Travel Today and enable it, or you can go to Amazon.com and then type Gay Travel Today and pretty much just enable it there, or you can hear it on any podcast platform. And in terms of the pandemic, like affecting my performances, live shows, it's such a huge situation for me, because I'm used to performing on stage, and to make that transition to performing virtually, it's a completely different experience. But it's something that I find enjoyable because it gives a lot of people much more access, especially those who aren't able to come to a show. And I think that's something that's incredible.
So for the Pride events around the country, everybody's trying to do things virtually. How are people still trying to have Pride events?
Oh, it's so incredible, because as a community, we're just finding so many innovative ways to actually keep the community active, involved, and uplifted. And so you'll see a lot of virtual Pride festivals that have been taking place actually all over the globe. One of the earlier ones is South Florida Pride Collective, but this month, actually in a few weeks, you can look forward to Global Pride. And then there are other prides that are happening across Europe, like in London, Asia, Africa. It's an incredible phenomenon right now.
So a lot of LGBTQ activists have been getting involved in the civil rights issues after the death of George Floyd. Have you been getting involved in that?
Well, I've been getting involved as much as I possibly can, because I think one of the big issues right now that the LGBTQ community is pretty much realizing is that Pride is a protest. Pride started as a riot. Marsha P. Johnson with Stonewall, that was actually a riot fighting for the ability to, just be present, be in those same spaces as gay men, white gay men, etc., and just protesting for the right to just exist. So a lot of people, I think that's something that's been sinking in really hard. And a lot of us has just come to the realization that, we can't have Pride if, Black lives can't be, safe, celebrated, protected. So what is the point of celebrating Pride when there are other people out there who just don't share those same liberties and freedoms and have those protections in place?
So have a lot of LGBTQ activists purposely been getting involved in these marches and protests to show solidarity?
Most definitely. And it's such a beautiful thing to see, because there are people from all walks of life that have come together. And it's definitely like I would say like a rude awakening that's global And it's incredible to see that shift in conscious on such a wide level. So yeah, definitely the LGBTQ community is active and showing their solidarity and getting involved in the protests.
You know, I know it's hard to restart plans for big events, but a lot of parts of the country are reopening now. Are a lot of Pride events hoping to maybe get going, maybe even in a smaller way?
I think as of now, everybody is definitely doing their best to ensure everyone's safety. So I think most prides will continue to be canceled in terms of in-person events, but all of the virtual events that have been planned, those will continue to move forward. And I think that's definitely the much more responsible thing to do. And I think it's also allowing for a larger community to have the opportunity to experience pride. And that's something that I find very powerful and endearing.
All right, Teraj, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, thanks.